When you were growing up, you most likely were taught some kind of a value that's associated with work and with play. You may have been taught that work is more important. You may have been taught that play is more important. You may have been taught that you need to find a balance between those two. But whatever you were taught when you were growing up was most likely enforced, whether that was by your culture, the society, your work culture, your employers, and you may have adopted one way of thinking or another way of thinking. And for many people, there seems to be an imbalance in terms of your work and in terms of your play. But in order to be at your best, meaning be healthy, be happy, and enjoy life, you have to find a balance. And that balance is more about you than it is about what your employer says or what your work culture says or what your society says. One person may very much enjoy work a great deal, and they don't really need as much play as another person. Maybe another person needs a little more play in their life than work, and some people might be somewhere in between. Rarely does it pay off for anyone to be at one end of the spectrum or another, meaning it's all about work and no play, or on the other end of the spectrum where it's all about play and no work. And even though those extremes may sound appealing to some of you out there, chances are that you wouldn't be happy and flourishing in the long term. There may be exceptions, but generally we need balance. And again, remember that that balance is going to be very much individual. So you have to figure out, despite of what you were taught, despite of what you were told, and despite of what you have done thus far in life, you have to figure out what's right for you. Are you happy with where you are in terms of how much work and how much play there is in your life? Do you feel that the balance between the two is the right balance for you? And keep in mind that that balance is going to be sort of a sliding scale that changes over time. It will change over time. It will change with situations. Sometimes it can even change with seasons. So it's not anything that's written in stone. This is why it's so important to assess where you are and figure out where you need to be in terms of what's going to make you happy and healthy and balanced. Most people want to be productive. They want some kind of challenge. They want to have a sense of achievement, but it has to be balanced out by having the time to play and maybe have adventures and do things on your own time and in your own way. And all of that will be very much individual. One person's adventure may be another person's nightmare. One person's idea of adventure may be boring to someone else. So don't worry about what everybody else says or does. In that sense, it has to be right for you. It has to make sense for you. It has to allow you to have a good life, whatever good life means to you. But I think we can all agree that at the end of the day, you deserve to be healthy, you deserve to be happy, and you deserve to be fulfilled. You should not be injured or sick or otherwise miserable because of work or because of play. If you're working so much that you're hurting your physical or health or emotional health or psychological health. That does not sound balanced to me. But on the other hand, if you're playing so hard that there's little work or responsibility in life and you find yourself in a conundrum, maybe unable to pay your bills or unable to have enough stability in your life, that's an issue too. So again, you have to find that balance. And maybe more play and less work was okay for you when you were younger, but as you became more mature, that pendulum swung in the other direction. Or it could be just the opposite. Maybe you were all about work and career and focusing on building those things that were work related. But then at some point, as you became older, as time passed by, you decided that you wanted to engage in more play now. It's absolutely 100% going to be an individual choice, an individual preference, and an individual experience. But I want to make sure that you think about this. Don't just go by what somebody else told you. It's not going to be the same as what it is for your parents. It could be, but it doesn't have to be. And just because it isn't, doesn't mean it's wrong. It may or may not be what your culture, your society, or your employer thinks it should be. It may, but it may not be, and it doesn't make it wrong if it's not. So, I want you to think about that. How much play, how much work is in your life, and is there a balance? Whatever that balance is, the right kind of balance for you today. It may not be the same 6 months from now. It may not be the same a year or 5 years from now. It may not be the same in winter as it is in the summer. But if you never examine these things, you may not even be aware of being unhappy, living in stress, living in misery, making yourself sick. So, today think about that. How much play, how much work, what does it take to be the right thing in your life today, and then aim for that. After all, you are responsible for your own life and for your own well-being and for your own happiness. So take the reins, take responsibility, and do what you need to do to have the balance that works for you in your life. If you'd like to learn more about a comprehensive approach to stress management, check out the link below.